Before empires, there was only the wind, whispering names not yet born. From silence came motion, Kunyiva, the heartbeat of the nomad and the earth alike. Every echo of a hoof was a promise to the sky.
They spoke to flame and smoke, and called themselves children of the plain.
Even tenderness here was bound in the rhythm of survival.
Strength was not learned, it was remembered in the blood.
Wisdom traveled with the wind, not written in books, but in journeys.
Freedom was not a gift, it was the air they breathed.
Before words, they carved their stories into the bones of the earth. Every storm was a lesson, bend or break beneath the sky's command. Courage was the only map they ever needed. In his gaze, tomorrow waited, restless as lightning before the strike. Their prayers were not for peace, but for endurance.
The dead did not vanish. They rode the constellations forever.
Life began not in comfort, but in struggle and grace intertwined.
Precision was a prayer, and every arrow carried belief. From scattered tribes, a single pulse began to beat. Unity was not born. It was fought for in silence first.
Even play carried prophecy of riders who would conquer horizons.
Destiny circled them, patient and unseen, waiting for one name. The steppe had chosen its storm, and the storm had a face.
Every empire begins with a child who refuses to kneel.
The spirit of the wolf walked with them, fierce, faithful, unbound.
Survival was their scripture, migration their eternal hymn. They traveled where no map dared to remember. In that banner, the wind found its voice manly, and history began to stir. From the marrow of the earth rose a nation without walls. The world was still asleep when the riders began to awaken it.
He spoke of unity, of sky and soil as one Kafin, and they believed.
The wind remembers his name, Temujin. When the sun rose, it found no cities, only motion and breath. Home was not a place, but a circle of sky that moved with them. Each meal carried memory of hunger, of harvest, of hope. Even in laughter, the wind taught them the meaning of freedom.
Their maps were wind-born, drawn not on paper, but in memory.
Every horizon invited them to begin again. They spoke to spirits not in words, but in rhythm and fire.
Between man and horse, destiny found its twin heartbeat.
To cross was to live, Alfia. To linger was to vanish. Their art was their memory,
carved before time had language.
Every hunt was a song of skill, respect, and hunger entwined. The steppe mirrored the heavens, and men mirrored their gods.
They learn strength from the silence between howls.
Creation was her defiance against the cold.
Even winter could not silence a people born of storm.
Among nomads, words weighed more than swords.
Speed was their language, unbound, unstoppable, eternal.
Loss was the first teacher of honor.
Rest was illusion, movement their only prayer.
Even rivers learned from them how to wander. Trade was born not from greed, but from trust beneath the same moon.
Freedom, once learned, cannot be forgotten. They did not fear storms. They sang to them.
Precision was devotion, the bow a sacred vow.
Death was not an ending, but a return to the endless sky.
Peace was rare, but when it came, it felt like eternity.
Wisdom passed in hands, not in words.
They read the future in feathers and flight.
Stories were the bridges between living and lost.
Joy too was sacred, a flame against the wind. Even peace required vigilance beneath the open sky.
To love this earth was to guard it with every breath.
Iron obeyed only those whose hearts were steadfast.
When threatened, the wind itself rose to defend them. From fire, they learned what it meant to endure.
Victory was hollow when it echoed alone. Rebirth was not choice, Illuminals. It was command.
Even sorrow here was song to survive.
He swore quietly to never flee again.
Night carried healing where words could not. The steppe forgets nothing, but forgives through time.
From relics, destiny whispers its call again.
Legends.
Start as echoes before becoming thunder.
The steppe was no longer divided vague. It was awakening.
The world's center was not a city, but the horizon itself.
After hardship, joy tasted like truth.
He said, "The sky watches, the earth listens, the wind remembers."
The pulse of the steppe became the pulse of history.
Dreams too large for one man soon belong to a people.
In quiet, destiny took its first breath.
They rode not for conquest, but for belonging.
Love here never held on, it released.
The sky watched, knowing one day it would bear his name.
Power here was not given dice. It was recognized by courage alone.
From motion, order was born.
The scattered became one through flame and wind.
Brotherhood tasted like milk and dust.
Discipline was the silent weapon of the steppe.
He did not promise victory, only unity. Faith spreads faster than flame across dry grass.
The wind carried a name, Temujin. In silence, an empire's heart began to beat.
From dust to thunder, the dawn of nations began. The steppe no longer whispered, it roared. His gaze reached farther than the horizon dared.
They no longer feared tomorrow, Esim. They were becoming it.
Destiny took shape, riding with them into forever.
Unity tastes of smoke, sweat, and freedom.
The prophecy had found its voice fell, and its rider.
The wind no longer wandered. It followed him.
Even in rest, the wind rehearsed the battles to come.
He had not yet conquered others, but only himself.
Loneliness was his teacher, silence his first ally.
Purity was not in water, but in purpose reborn.
Every horizon held both threat and invitation.
He understood the unity required both mercy and fire.
Even before war, life insisted on joy.
The sky chose its son, though none yet knew his name.
Winter always came, but so did resolve.
Speed became prayer. Precision became belief.
Greatness begins in the smallest acts of honor.
Blessings weigh more than gold when carried by truth. Every drumbeat was a heartbeat closer to destiny. The hardest wars are fought without words. The tribes began to dream in the same direction.
They took it as a sign, time. The heavens were watching again.
He asked not for power, but for purpose that would outlive him.
The moment between silence and speech felt like creation itself. The air itself bent to listen.
We are many winds, team. Let us become the storm.
Faith always arrives as both light and trembling.
Steel and sky sealed their covenant.
The steppe had awakened and would not sleep again.
Mothers birth both men and empires.
The wind carried it higher, Temujin.
They moved as one. The horizon now followed them. From solitude, a nation of riders was born.
The age of wandering was ending. The age of conquest was near.
Every legend begins not in glory, but in a single step toward the unknown. Unity was fragile, yet faith made it steel.
He carried doubt, as other men carried swords. Even warriors need threads of love to remind them of home.
The sky knew his name and tested him early. Destiny's first trial arrived with blood and thunder.
His courage was not born. It was forged in loss.
Greatness breathes through mercy as much as might.
In ashes, leadership revealed itself. The sky remembers those who die for tomorrow.
He had no choice now. The path forward was the only one left.
The steppe was both his battlefield and his teacher.
Friendship among nomads was a flame shared against the wind. Together they dreamed of unity, not yet knowing dreams can divide. They swore to serve one sky, one destiny.
A single voice began to echo across the plains.
Discipline made the wind obey them. Communication turned chaos into rhythm, rhythm into war. Every victory began in a mother's hands.
He ruled not by fear, but by honor unbreakable.
To some, mercy looked like weakness, until it conquered them.
The steppe began to sing with steel.
War was not madness. It was destiny's handwriting.
The plain trembled as the wind learned his command.
The tribes that once scattered now breathed as one.
Power, he knew, was borrowed from heaven, never owned.
The birth of empire began not in gold, but in faith.
No oath survives ambition untouched.
Even unity carries shadows beneath its crown.
He loved him still, but duty has no kin.
Brother against brother, Denin. The oldest story reborn.
The world began to bend around his will.
Victory always costs something unseen. Mercy became his sharpest weapon.
Fear did not bind them, Sias. Belief did. The steppe had chosen its voice.
He ruled first over himself, then over the world.
Peace was the rarest victory of all.
Even the sky prepared for his coronation.
Every horizon led here.
The world's heartbeat quickened under their hooves.
He no longer walked as man, but as symbol.
Genghis Khan! A title that would echo beyond centuries.
The earth itself seemed to bow in respect.
He thanked the eternal blue sky for every scar.
A nation had found its center.
Order rose where chaos once reigned.
Words became weapons, stronger than arrows.
Even the young learned to dream in his name. Power weighed heavier than armor.
He did not seek followers, but believers.
Discipline turned the steppe into thunder.
No wall could stand before the wind now, given shape. He looked east at again and saw the world waiting. The plain itself seemed to breathe his name.
He planned not war, Kassin, but destiny's geometry.
The steppe was no longer enough for his horizon. To speak before the Khan was to face the sky itself. He offered mercy before conquest as warning.
They laughed at the wind, not knowing it would arrive as storm.
He smiled, Hang. The world would soon learn to listen.
They did not prepare for war. So, they prepared for immortality.
Every braid tied a future written in courage.
Legacy begins in the gaze of a child.
The wind bowed and followed.
From the heart of silence, history erupted. They rode as if the sky itself commanded them.
Strategy became art. Movement became faith.
The wind had found its master. And the world's boundaries began to tremble. Empires once eternal began to hear the hooves of change.
The horizon burned, and history watched in awe.
Order amid fire Clanthing, his gift from the gods.
The steppe had come for its due.
Fear travels faster than any horse.
He conquered not for cruelty, but for control.
Even winter bowed to his command.
Power and solitude, Kryn, the twin prices of greatness.
The wind carried both victory and mourning.
He understood. All empires return to dust.
The flame had spread break. The conquest had only begun.
The world trembled beneath one sky.
They no longer sought victory, Apenyi. They sought destiny.
To some he was storm, to others salvation.
Faith was his armor, belief his sword.
Nothing could bind the wind anymore.
Even victory tasted of ash.
The storm will circle the world and return home.
From the heart of the steppe, the empire unfolded.
The wind no longer wandered. It carried the world. Tomorrow waited, vast and unclaimed. Peace was never his destination, only his pause. The sky itself had become his kingdom.
Even conquerors needed song to stay human.
True power walks softly, unseen but felt.
Above all, he served the wind, and it served him back.
The world was no longer divided, only waiting.
History paused to take a breath.
He had become what the steppe dreamed of.
The great Khan had risen, and the world would never be the same.
The wind no longer wandered. It sang. It marched.
Steppe had learned the shape of power.
Orders moved faster than seasons.
He lit the earth, the way stars light the sky. Nothing could divide what the sky had joined.
He read the world like scripture, yet unwritten.
Stone bowed before wind. Walls learned humility. War became weather, and he its storm.
They moved as one mind, carried by countless hearts.
Empires end. Not with silence, but with dust.
Mercy was the face of victory.
He conquered without joy, only necessity.
Gold weighed less than loyalty.
Trade followed conquest, like shadow follows flame.
Peace rode behind the sword's edge.
Knowledge was treasure, worth more than empire.
Even conquerors crave music, to remind them they are human.
Innovation was his second army.
Communication became his unseen weapon.
The world itself began to breathe in unison.
No season could cage their will.
Rumor arrived before riders, and both carried fear.
Faith met fire on the frontier of the known world.
He painted the heavens with conquest.
History moved at the speed of terror.
He wept not for blood, but for necessity.
He pointed where maps ended, and they obeyed.
Exploration was another form of conquest. The unknown trembled at the sound of hooves.
Even the sky seemed infinite under his reach.
Cities fell faster than stories could be told.
Obedience traveled farther than any arrow.
The world bent at last to one horizon.
Wealth became language of power's peace.
Law rode as swiftly as vengeance.
For a brief moment, the world felt whole.
He became myth before he became memory.
Knowledge found a new home in the steppe.
The empire's heartbeat was written on hoofbeats.
Diversity was his quiet triumph.
He saw not spectacle, but legacy.
He had united more earth than any before him.
Even emperors long for horizon unclaimed.
The sky gives, and the sky takes.
He thanked the earth that bore his empire's bones.
For every war, he built 1,000 journeys.
Even thunder cannot silence every echo.
Power must move, or it dies.
He answered defiance with inevitability. Walls were lies men told themselves about safety.
Mercy was still his favorite rebellion.
Legacy began to gallop beside him.
Empire endures only when its sons remember its soul.
He gave them not weapons, but duty. Even the mountains seemed to bow before his breath.
Time, the one enemy he could not defeat, rode nearer.
To remember where the wind first spoke his name.
Their faith outlived their fear.
He felt the pulse of eternity beneath his fingers.
The same constellations that once watched a boy, now crowned a legend.
Carry my people farther than I can ride.
Greatness is memory sharpened by pain.
He had conquered the world. Lenny, but not time.
Even the wind slows for farewell.
The earth knew before men did. The Khan was gone. The steppe itself mourned its son.
No grave could contain a legend.
His empire breathed on, even as he vanished.
And still, the eternal sky remembers his name. Silence came not as an end, but as reverence.
The storm that shaped the world now whispered its farewell.
He returned to the soil that had once carried his dreams.
Even fire bows to the wind that created it.
The steppe mourned in its own language. Every hoofbeat carried disbelief across a continent.
They asked the heavens to guard the lineage of light.
Victory had turned to memory overnight.
The world awoke, fatherless.
Grief stood shoulder to shoulder with ambition.
Even the wind wore mourning. They lit the horizon so the ancestors could find him home. He told the spirits, another rider ascends.
Freedom escorted its greatest son.
They hid his resting place from men, not from wind. Even stone cannot hold what belongs to the sky.
Unity trembled on the edge of pride.
He heard both the burden and the blessing in the silence.
Each descendant dreamed of empire, reborn in his own name.
Remember, the sky sees all.
Even morning must march onward.
The call of inheritance crossed mountains and oceans. The world gathered to choose its new wind.
From grief, a new heartbeat formed.
They drank to the past and to the promise beyond it.
Destiny rarely shouts. It simply stands unshaken.
Steel remembered the hand that forged it.
The eternal sky chose again.
The sons of the steppe inherited both fire and shadow.
The wind moved once more, carrying a younger thunder eastward.
The wind was quieter now, carrying only memory.
They buried him without name, so the world could never cage his soul.
Even the sky bowed its head for the great Khan. An empire without its heart must learn to breathe anew. Inheritance was not gold. It was responsibility carved in steel.
The sky accepted another son beneath.
The empire lived, any reborn through loyalty and fire. From nomad roots, a capital of the world began to rise.
The steppe invited civilization without losing its soul. He inherited not peace, but possibility.
Conquest was tradition, expansion, their faith.
The sons of the wolf carried the howl farther.
Winter itself became their ally. No barrier remained sacred before the sons of the sky. Europe met the wind and learned its weight.
Mercy had become luxury.
The empire had stretched beyond imagination.
Each branch of the family sought its own horizon.
The sons of the steppe carried fire to every frontier.
The cradle of civilization crumbled before nomad thunder.
Even conquerors felt the cost of their shadow.
Knowledge drew him more than war.
From dust, a philosopher was born. Wisdom became the empire's new weapon. To govern hearts is greater than to conquer lands.
He sought not war's echo, but its lesson.
Unity began to crack beneath the weight of ambition.
Blood once bound, now betrayed. The sky divided itself among its sons.
Even empires built on wind can suffocate in silence. He dreamed of rule through law, not terror. He sought to tame the dragon beneath the wolf's banner. Old barriers awaited the breath of destiny.
Stone would remember what sky demanded.
History bent before determination.
The Middle Kingdom bowed to the sons of the steppe.
The wolf had become the dragon.
He carried both Mongol sky and Chinese earth in one soul.
Civilization and conquest danced at last together.
His law united languages, faiths, and roads alike. The world had never seen such balance of fire and grace.
Even outsiders felt the rhythm of eternity here.
He saw not a barbarian, but a philosopher king.
Kublai's dream had turned wilderness into wonder.
Ideas now traveled faster than horses. Connection became his conquest. Commerce became the heartbeat of the eternal sky. He ruled more than land. Here, he ruled imagination. Yet distant khanates, distantats drift apart.
The wind itself began to argue with its echo.
He saw his grandfather's dream dissolving like mist. He still believed words could heal what swords had torn.
Empires die not in defeat, but in disobedience.
Even the strongest tire of triumph.
The sky still calls out softly like an old friend.
He wished memory to outlive power.
The last son of the sky prepared to join his ancestors.
It came to carry another name back to eternity. The empire entered silence, vast and luminous.
From Venice to Beijing, grief crossed deserts and oceans.
Even greatness needs heirs who remember humility.
When sky divides, the ground trembles.
The wolf began to devour its own shadow. Memory turned to smoke. A fragment of the storm still roared.
They built beauty upon rules of conquest.
Even fallen empires leave light behind. Words outlast the riders who spoke them.
The wind still carried commerce, not war.
Every empire learns its echo can rebel.
The dragon turned against its rider.
The empire exhaled its final breath.
Even stone forgets, eventually.
The wind forgave, as it always does.
Legacy reduced to memory, but memory endures.
The sky alone remained loyal.
Myth became their new homeland.
Power fades, but the sky remembers everything.
The sons of the sky return to their father.
The world exhaled after centuries of thunder.
The last echoes of empire fading into legend. Freedom had outlived empire once more.
The earth heals in silence, where men cannot.
Life endures where ambition fails.
What began fire returns to flame again.
He wonders about ancestors who once ruled the wind.
Names become prayers when time forgets their fear.
The sky watches its children begin again.
Though empires fall, the steppe remains eternal.
Without kings or crowns, they still belong to the wind.
Their voices carried centuries in a single note.
The steppe itself had become the storyteller. Names erode, but spirit endures. History is only wind, remembering its shape. The sons of the sky were gone, but their flight remaced.
The empire had ended. The world had begun anew. Time cannot conquer what was never possessed.
The sky endures beyond kings and centuries.
And the wind still remembers their names.
Every empire meets the silence it once commanded. The heart of the storm had become stone and memory.
Life continues where glory ends.
The children of conquerors learn to rebuild from dust. The wolf still hunted, but under another moon.
Unity forgotten, pride devoured its own sons. Carried only echoes of their father's law.
The eternal sky wept for its wayward children. Trade fled where trust had died.
Fear turns to defiance faster than loyalty fades.
Faith found courage where armies faltered.
Even thunder can lose its echo. Gold replaced wisdom, and rot replaced will.
Power forgets humility at its own peril.
The dragon devoured the wolf's last throne.
The sky shifted allegiance men back to the free. Stone, once broken, was rebuilt against memory. Water became the empire's final archivist.
He saw an age ending and could not stop it.
When power dies, story becomes survival.
Conquerors became citizens of the conquered.
Faith replaced empire as the new horizon.
Steel turned to soil Passain, and peace was forced to bloom.
The arteries of empire closed one by one.
Wealth without unity becomes dust without memory.
Power without purpose corrodes the soul.
Bloodlines turned crimson with ambition.
An empire dies the way a sunset bleed. Slowly, beautifully, painfully.
Even silence was kinder than surrender.
The vassals learn to roar. History shifted.
The age of thunder faded behind the veil of time. The sky whispered, "Begin again."
Power returned to its truest form, the freedom.
Music remembers what history forgets.
Spirits outlast dynasties.
Legends became their only empire.
Identity survived, even exile.
The conquerors became ghosts in the histories they wrote. Empire dissolved, but lineage endured in silence. Even the wind grows weary of mourning.
No crown, no song, only sky.
They grieved for an empire, but sang for themselves.
Heaven forgave what men could not. The earth reclaims what ambition abandons. The road remained, indifferent to its masters.
The land that once ruled the world became their border.
Submission became survival.
Even extinction sang softly.
He rode not for empire, but the remembrance.
Faith outlives fortune.
Every ending holds the seed of return.
They touch the cloth as if touching heaven.
Stories kept the wind alive.
The circle closed. Movement was home again.
Freedom returned to its rightful owners.
Nature heals faster than nations.
Even ruins deserve reverence.
Beauty replaced power as the land's new empire. The sky itself became their monument.
Lullabies carry legacies where armies cannot.
Freedom found its voice again!
Presence without empire. Eternity's design.
Memory resurrected from stone and pride.
The past still towers when belief returns.
The steppe learned the rhythm of time.
History rewrote itself in forgiveness.
Education became remembrance.
Balance replaced conquest.
Empires fade, but the breath of the steppe endures.
He greets the ancestors, returning with light. The sky remembers everything.
They were never gone, only transformed.
Tradition became triumph reborn. Joy reclaimed what sorrow abandoned.
Pride returned, quiet and pure. The steppe still whispers in every wind. Civilization finally walked beside the wild.
Stone carries his silence and his smile.
Education turned conquest into comprehension.
The world once
road from here.
In wonder, empire breathes again.
Their voices bridge centuries.
Sound becomes sky.
Technology bows to tradition, quietly, humbly.
Every light here remembers a flame from centuries past. Mongolia, where wind and time meet.
Freedom still knows its way home.
Even shadows tell stories here.
They inherited both silence and song. Empires fall. On the Sproth, the sky remains.
He smiles Androrit, and the story begins again.
History rests, but the wind never sleeps. The soul of the steppe endures through every breath.
Once empire, now memory, forever legend. The sky remembers its favorite sun. Peace is the empire's final conquest.
Listen, the steppe is speaking again.
And the wind whispers, we are still here.
The wind no longer carried war, Beering, only waiting.
From the south came order, wrapped in silk and chain.
Submission was demanded with ceremony, not sword. Paper replaced thunder as power's voice.
Ink bowed the riders tighter than iron ever could.
Stone returned, wearing another emperor's name. Freedom began to die, acre by acre.
Faith offered shelter when sovereignty could not. Prayer replaced battle as the steppe's heartbeat.
Balance became resistance in disguise.
Commerce blurred conquest's edges.
Service became survival.
Memory whispered where speech was forbidden.
The sky still promised what borders denied.
Empires age faster than the earth they claim. A new shadow crept from the frozen horizon. The steppe stood between two hungers.
Trade tasted of iron once again.
Choosing masters was the cost of survival.
Faith endured where politics failed.
The modern world arrived like thunder after centuries of silence.
When dragons die, even distant skies tremble.
They spoke the forbidden word again. Aich, independence.
A nation exhaled after 200 years.
Hope returned, fragile but radiant.
Every savior carries a price unseen.
Ideology replaced empire as the new storm. Madness rode under holy pretense.
Faith met modern cruelty for the first time.
Rebirth demanded both courage and blood.
Red replaced blue, yet the wind remained neutral.
Monarchy ended. Belief shifted from heaven to history. Iron hymns replaced chanting bells.
Freedom was measured now by quotas.
Dreams repainted themselves in red and gray.
The machine became the new horse of empire.
Language changed, but longing did not.
Faith went underground, carrying silence like fire.
Terror arrived, wearing friendship's flag.
Memory became contraband.
Even the wind seemed afraid to speak.
Their loyalty bought survival, not freedom.
Two nations saluted one shadow.
New idols replaced old gods.
Labor was worship now, endurance the only prayer. Voices of steel replaced voices of wind. Progress wore the face of care and control.
Education became the quiet revolution.
Modernity hummed softly through the old bones of the steppe.
Technology sang lullabies, once carried by wind.
Even the stars felt within reach.
Freedom still waited behind closed lips.
Applause became obedience performed as hope.
He missed the sound of hooves more than he admitted.
Even ideology cannot feed hunger. Imagination breached what borders could not.
Rebellion whispered through color and brushstroke.
Home became vertical, not circular.
Iron rails stitched the past to the present.
Dreams imported, yet longing remained local.
Independence performed as alliance!
Pride marched in formation now.
Ideology ages faster than belief.
Whispers became wind again.
Hope returned lease, fragile, fearless, familiar.
The steppe had found its voice once more.
Even power knew when to bow.
Freedom reclaimed its true colors.
The century of shadows had ended.
Heaven forgave,
and history moved on.
Faith stepped back into sunlight.
Restoration was its own revolution.
Tradition refueled to vanish quietly.
Language learned to hold two worlds at once.
Myth returned as mirror, not weapon.
Music reconnected heaven and earth.
So,
freedom began as conversation.
The daughters of the sky reclaimed their place beneath it.
Education became heritage reborn.
Faith and freedom finally shared the same path. Modernity traveled beside memory.
Work became pride again, not duty alone.
Culture became the new empire of hearts. The wind rejoiced to find its children alive. Freedom multiplied itself in wings.
Old and new, tradition found rhythm in change.
They had lived to see the steppe breathe freely.
The next generation plays with history's ghosts.
The same wind, finally unchained.
Never forget the sky's color.
Freedom begins with remembrance.
The shadows have gone, but the sky.
Life continues in circles, not lines.
Patriotism reborn as quiet gratitude.
Unity returned without conquest.
Technology now serves memory, not mastery.
The sky connects every generation. Even the desert remembers the wind.
We endured. We endured.
And under that sky, Mongolia rises again. Dawn does not return. It was never gone.
Heritage is a race that never ends.
The city breathes with the rhythm of the plain.
Old wisdom and new dreams drink from the same cup.
The steppe has found new ways to ride the wind.
She learns that memory is the truest freedom.
The past still stands, quiet but awake. Touch is the oldest form of prayer.
Tradition and innovation finally speak the same language.
Symbols breathe again when believers return.
Every flame is a soul finding its sky. Faith and memory kneel side by side.
Knowledge has become the new empire.
Preservation is another form of love.
The world looks to them and sees its own wild reflection.
Pride is taught not by command, but by song.
Light is strongest when born of cold.
Strength here is measured in respect.
Love travels best on open ground.
Myth returns as color for the living.
Wisdom has become their final frontier.
Dreams still fall the river's path.
Even the wind can be studied, but never owned.
Technology bows to beauty when used with grace.
Who built the world?
The sky, and those who remember it.
Even the earth mourns with affection.
Precision never grew old, only its targets changed.
The steppen's voice prepares to.
Even above the clouds, the eternal blue sky remains home.
Pride transcended distance for the first time.
Civilization glows, but the sky still owns the stars.
Words have become the new horses of the mind.
Every verse heals a century.
The sky still reminds men to be humble.
Work continues Bala, sacred in its simplicity. Faith is a flame passed hand to hand.
Knowledge and devotion walk together at last.
Movement is the only true immortality.
Beauty never needed translation.
Voices of the past speak only to those who pause.
The sky writes poems in light for those who look up.
Wonder has replaced war as their ritual.
Forgiveness echoes louder than conquest. Heaven and earth trade places in every moment of peace. Abundance is the reward of remembrance.
They come seeking emptiness and find eternity.
Every hill here hides a story still breathing.
The steppe keeps no strangers, only temporary friends.
Even weather bows to forgiveness.
Change is the eternal sky's only law.
Generations share the same light in different bodies.
They see no past, only continuity.
The future still rides on wind.
Celebration is how a nation thanks its ancestors.
Joy is the final revolution.
We are the children of light.
The steppe still remembers its own heartbeat.
The sky is our home, the wind our voice.
The universe and the steppe exchange light. Mongolia, small in land, infinite in sky.
Their voices bridge the century.
They are the new empire of peace.
Day and night bow to each other in gratitude.
Time moves in circles, singing its own return.
Earth and sky become one again.
Memory has become light.
Empires end, but the wind still remembers. And beneath this sky, the story never ends.